Everybody, what's going on? So today in this video we're going to talk about summertime fishing, and mainly deep water fishing is what we're going to talk about. So the last time I done one of these was like a week and a couple days ago, so I thought, why not go ahead and get the other video, the last video of it, out of the way, get the deep water video out of the way. So a lot of you guys know that I like fishing deep water and shallow water. A lot of people are different though. There's a lot of people who like fishing deep water over shallow water. Some people only fish shallow water. Some people only fish deep water. So this video is going to be for the guys who like fishing deep. I personally like both. Basically anywhere I can catch a fish, that's where I like to fish, if you all know what I mean. So I got, actually this one here needs to be over here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 moving baits, and I got a bunch of slower moving baits over here on this side. I honestly can't even count them, there's so many. So I will go ahead and get into this. So first off, I didn't actually bring one of these in here, and I don't know why I didn't. But if you can, and you go out there in the morning time and you fish and you see a bunch of fish schooling out deep, a walking bait or a jerk bait are pretty good baits as well. But I didn't bring either one of those in here. So the next best thing to it is a big crankbait. Now this one here is a Strike King 6X or 10XD, excuse me. This is a 10XD in the, I think this is green gizzard shad, if I'm not mistaken. The 6XD and the 10XD are awesome to throw. I personally love throwing the 6XD just because it's not a super heavy bait. It only weighs about as much as the 2.5, but it gets down way down deep in the, I think it goes down like 15 feet. This one here goes from 15 to 25 feet deep. That is very deep diving bait. Now there's more baits out there that dive even more than this. There's the Norman DD22. There's one that has like a 6-inch long bill on it. I cannot remember the name of it. I can't remember the one that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I'll try to leave some links to some of these baits. Some of them I can't leave links to because they're either Doc's Lure Company baits or I just don't remember where I bought them. So basically, yeah. But this here's the 10XD. The 6XD is one of my personal favorites just because it's a little bit lighter. It's not going to wear you out after a while working it. This one here, if you go out and throw a 10XD for a long time, it can get to hurting your arms pretty bad. You know, somebody who has the rod, the wrong rod for it, like a medium instead of like a medium heavy, it'll be 20 times worse for you. So if you do throw something like this, you can throw it on a medium. I've not caught anything with it, but I almost have a couple times. I lost fish on it. I would go with a medium heavy or a extra heavy if you have it. The heavier the rod, the even better, because this is a big bait and it will pull you into the water if you have something too light. It's a big bait. So we'll go ahead and set this right here since we've already talked about it. Now this bait here is a bait that is new to the fishing world. It is, but it isn't. It's getting a lot more popular in the past year and a half, 2 years, and that is called the scrounger head. Now what the scrounger head is it's a mix between a chatterbait and just a jig head. So basically what it is, if you all can see, it has a plastic bill on it. Now this is a fixed bill, it doesn't move, it just does that. That's all it does. It has a little snap on there with a jig head and then a hook. That's basically all it is. So what you put on this, it's not something you put a swim bait. This is the wrong size swim bait, but this, you don't put swim baits on it because it actually kills the action. You actually put fluke style baits on it, straight tail baits. This here's the Doc's Lure Company drop shot minnow. I think this will be actually really good on it because it already has sort of a good little action to it by itself. I think on this scrounger head it'll be pretty cool. This is a bait that has gotten a lot of popularity in the past few weeks on YouTube. A lot of people, I think Tactical Bassin mentioned it in one of their latest videos. The Baitman TV, he started talking about this, and it's just getting pretty popular this year over the past few years. But it was getting pretty popular last year as well. A lot of people were throwing it out deep. They even have like hair jig versions of these, and they have some that come pre-rigged. I know Hog Farmer makes some. There's a couple other companies that make them. Trimmer Shad, I can't remember. I think Beast Coast makes those, but they have their own version. This one here, I honestly don't even remember who makes it. It's like a Jimmy Houston bait. Like Jimmy Houston partnered with the company to make the bait. And originally it actually come with a skirt and a trailer with it, but I took the skirt off and put a little plastic on it. So next is something that I've gotten into throwing a lot more. If you would have asked me about 2 years ago about a spinnerbait, I would tell you how much I hate it. Personally, now I really like throwing them. This one here is a Strike King. This one here, what is this called again? I think it's called the Bottom Dweller. That's what it's called. The Bottom Dweller is a giant spinnerbait. The head on it is a full ounce, and it goes... The one problem with this is you can't put a trailer because the head goes back here and it's like a cone. That's why I only run a trailer hook. Honestly, with as big as these blades are, like you guys can see, those are big, big blades. Personally, I wouldn't throw a trailer on it anyway. I'm sure you could probably modify it to where you could put a trailer on it. I just don't. With big spinnerbaits like this, I always run a trailer hook. Anything that anywhere that I think I could catch possibly a big fish, if I know that there's 4.5, 5 pounders in a lake, I'm going to have a trailer hook on my spinnerbait at all times. All times. Now, if I'm just farm pond fishing and throwing small spinnerbaits and stuff, I don't normally worry about it because mainly the bass, if they're going to hit it, they're going to completely eat it. I've noticed that in ponds. But if you're out there on a lake or off the bank fishing a big pond where you know there's big fish, always have that trailer hook. That thing has saved many people and has won a lot of tournaments. Just that hook alone has helped people win tournaments. So next is something that I personally love throwing. I've thrown them out deep and caught fish. I've thrown them up shallow and caught fish, and that is a swim bait. Now this here is a Doc's Lure Company 4-inch swim bait in the white silver flake color. This hook is a 7/0 Berkeley Fusion half-ounce, I think this doesn't say, half-ounce keel-weighted hook, I'm pretty sure. Now this hook is way overkill, honestly, but if you're wanting to catch a bigger fish and you're wanting to make sure you get that bigger fish in and not miss it, you know, go with a big hook like this. That tail still has a ton of action. You guys can see it just flopping around there. But this is only a 4-inch bait, but it's like probably a 2-inch hook. Basically takes up half the bait. It's actually 2.5-inch long hook on a 4-inch bait. That there is going to maximize hookup ratio just about as good as you can get, really. You know, if you want a smaller hook, you can go with a smaller hook. But personally, I'm going to throw it on this hook right here just because it is a big hook and it'll maximize your hookup ratio when that big one does decide to bite. Alright, so next we're going to talk about bottom baits and slow moving stuff. So I actually have 3 different jigs and a couple soft plastics that I like to throw. Number 1 is a finesse football head. This here is a black and blue finesse football head. I can't remember the exact name of the brand that makes it. Move that thing over there. You'll see on 2 of the 3 jigs I have here, they are Doc's Lure Company trailers. The little mud bug is on those. Here's what they look like by themselves. They work awesome as jig trailers. Like you can see, that's black and blue with a green pumpkin trailer. Now this one here is a big football jig, but it's not even the biggest one I'm going to show you. This one here, I've already caught 1 fish on it this year. I was actually just hanging it over the side of the bank talking to my cousin, and a fish just came up and nailed it. And this is a peanut butter jelly colored jig with a green pumpkin trailer. Personally, I like throwing green pumpkin or brown trailers just because it's a natural color to be on that jig. And something that I do with jigs, this brand that I bought these 2 jigs here from, you can get different counts of the skirt strands. Like this one here is a 66 count. I'm pretty sure this one here is a 55 count. I always get the bigger strands over like a 44 or 33 strand because you can always cut it down. Because, I mean, you can always cut a 66 strand like this one here is. You can always cut it down, but you can't add to it. I mean, it's pretty complicated to add to it. It's easier just to get a bigger jig and cut it down than to get a smaller jig and not be able to cut it down. So that's a good jig. And this one here is the big boy. This one here is the giant. This jig, personally, I like to throw this out in like 30 feet of water. I wouldn't throw this up in the shallows just because it makes a splash that'll scare every fish in the lake away. This thing is a big jig. It's 1.25 ounces. So to put that in perspective, this jig alone is bigger than this. I'm pretty sure this is just an ounce, 1.5 ounces. I don't believe it's 1.5 ounces. I think it's just 1 ounce. The jig feels heavier. I think that this is an ounce. I know this is 1.25 ounces. I'm pretty sure this is just 1 ounce. So basically, to put that in perspective, this little jig versus this big crankbait, but the jig's heavier. What gives it the heavier is that giant head. You can tell this is a 1/4 ounce. This is a full 1 1/4 ounce. Huge difference in the head size. Now this color here, I think, is called like whiskey pepper or red pepper whiskey or something like that. It's basically a green pumpkin black with red with a little brown trailer on it. I have no clue what brand trailer that is. I don't even know when I put it on here. But yeah, this one here is a big jig. I like throwing the bigger jigs because they catch bigger fish. At least that's what I'm told. I haven't really caught any giant fish on jigs yet. I've mainly just caught like 2.5 pounders. So who knows? I might go out and throw that soon, hopefully, and catch a giant. Never know. Next, we're going to talk about worms, soft plastics. So number one, first soft plastic, is a small worm. Now, a lot of people, you go out there to the lake and you see them throwing like 8-inch, 10-inch, 13-inch worms. I got some of those in here somewhere that are 12 inches. But personally, something I like to do to figure out where the fish are is take a little shaky head like this. This is a 3/8 ounce shaky head. Put a little worm on here like that. You just screw it down onto the head, just like so. Get it on there perfect. Just like that, boom. Actually, that is probably the quickest I've ever rigged up a shaky head. Yeah, just like that. That right there will catch fish all day long. And then, if you want to go into the bigger fish, you can take that, throw that for a little bit, figure out which side of the lake they're on. If they're on the shallower edge of the ledge, the deeper edge, then you can throw something like this. This here is the 8-inch slammer worm, or I don't have any here, do I? Yeah, I do. The 8-inch paddle tail. These are both Doc's Lure Company baits. So is this one here. This is the Doc's Lure Company dragon worm. This here is the Doc's Lure Company slammer and the paddle tail. If y'all want to see these baits, see pictures of them, and you can figure out how to buy them, you guys can see how you buy them. Go check out my Facebook. And then you can buy them there. So, I hope y'all like this video. Oh, before I go, the way I like to rig those big worms is on either a 1/2 ounce or a 1/4 ounce jig, a bullet weight with like a 5/0 hook. I always throw 5/0 hooks unless I'm in a place where there's not a giant, not a bunch of big fish. If it's just a smaller fish lake, I'll go down to a 2/0 hook with some of the smaller worms, just because, you know, you're not going to get giant bites in places where there's not giant fish, obviously. So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know if any of these tips helped you out, and if they did, let me know. So, yeah, bye.